On the menu for today, gonna replace this little 18-inch dishwasher. Why? Well, let's see what happens. That is the extent of what we get out of that. So, if it was just a matter of it not pumping water, not cleaning, whatever, but being this is 17 years old, I get nothing out of it. It's time. We're gonna change it out. Hopefully I got the right size. And we will see what we will see. Hold me while I grab my glasses. Generally these got a tab with a couple of screws. Looks like it's just got one in this case. It used to have one. That's missing. We're gonna have to get under this panel, get to the connections. Yeah, that looks good. I think it's time. So, somewhere in here should be a way to shut the water off to it, and I'm gonna say it's that. Pull that. Since this one won't even do anything, I may get a little water out on the floor, which will be down there. Well, let's go, let's start yanking this thing out. First, find your circuit breaker panel. Kill the dishwasher. Dishwasher. Otherwise you'll be in for a shocking experience. Okay, the normal ones have screws on that end and a little plate down there, which you usually have to take off. So lo and behold, it actually does have screws down there. Nothing like having to get on the floor. Normally these would be screws. These just got these big old things in there. Alright, well that's boring. There's one there and one over there. I'm going to pull those. Now before I get in there and pull that thing apart, I'm going to open this one up. And there's 18-inch opening. Well, looks like that's probably going to be that. This is, box is 19 inches, so I'm going to say that's probably the right one. Let's pop it open and make sure. So once you pop the top off, don't do something Polish like me. Try to pull this out of here because this has no bottom in it. Once you free it from the top, the box comes right off it. Surprise! Looking like it's the right one. I think we're good. And just as a final verification, you can see, yes indeed, it's 18 inches. Depth is going to be standard, height, all that. It has adjustable feet, so. Alright, let's get that other one out of there. Alright, those two screws come out. Why they're so big, I don't know. This plate on this one comes down. A little unusual. There's a small unit though. And there's our nice rusty motor. How much can we pull out of there? So the water valve hookup is over here. Oh boy, this thing's all the way down too. Over there. Look at that, it thing's down as far as it'll go. Here's your water line. And then the electric line, where you should be able to pull it out. Get access to that. Water line's only going to come so far. It's right there, so I'm going to go ahead and disconnect it right there, whatever size that is, and we'll have to figure out what the new one is. Maybe make an adapter. We'll see what happens. Alright, that's the next shot. We'll pull the water line off it. Alright, I was able to get into my crescent wrench, take that water line loose. Didn't drip too bad. Took that one screw out of the top up there. Now let's see, this whole thing should... Let me try this. Let me try closing it. And sliding her out. Alright, it's catching on that side. Maybe the power lead is... It's bringing that with it. It's taking the water line out with it. What's catching over here? Nah, it's just catching in the box. This is going to come out far enough. The box is up in there, so I'll have to pull it out and turn it sideways. So I'm going to leave fiddle fart around and just twist it around a little bit. Well, in this case, the water line comes out of the side for some reason, and it's inside the box there, so the water line's got to come out this way. So it's got to come out underneath that. Alright, conveniently enough, the strap that holds that thing together, that box out there, will tape right on that. However, as I'm starting to pull this thing out there, it's starting to spew on me, so I gotta get the water out of it. This thing's gotta be dry or that tape's gonna not stick on it. So I'm gonna actually try to pull it as far as I can this direction and dump as much water out of that. I can't do that with one hand, so trust me. Alright, so just laid it on side next to it, make sure I had the end taped up. Well, this thing just won't quit dumping water on me. Put a bunch of wraps around it. Shouldn't be a big deal. Strap's plenty long enough, it ain't going anywhere. Just don't walk out the door with it. It's not quite that long. So now as you pull it out, water line's disconnected. Power line's disconnected. Just simply pull that sucker through. Alright, stop right there because that's as far as it's going. Now we're going to disconnect and get it the heck out of the way. Alright, just be careful moving them around. They're not that heavy, but the old ones have got sharp, rusty edges on them. So next thing you do is come in here, grit your teeth, clean up the area where they're going in. Now, perfectly good end of Romex. Why that was not hooked up correctly, I do not know. Ay, ay, ay. Well, I gotta get in here with the little shop vac. That's just nasty looking. Unless I have a little broom. Maybe I got a little broom and a dustpan. You can see where it's had some water issues along there. Nice. Anyway, alright, we'll clean that up and get ready to slap this other one. No one will ever see that anyway. Alright, I actually used my little dustpan thingy and a piece of cardboard from that box I cut off from the crate out there, so no problem. It's got a nice big insulation thingy on it. So here, first we have to find the dishwasher connector, and I can already see what's going on here. You can see that it's got a gigantic, it's basically a hose size fitting that's got to go on there. So this was an adapter. This was a 3/8 to a 1/2 inch, I guess, but I don't think that's the size. I think it's actually going to be a 90-degree big 3/4 inch nut going down to a 3/8, which means that this 3/8 will fit it right there. So that line, this extra piece can come off, but I'm going to have that adapter. I do not know if we have those or not. So this cover is going to have to come off to give us access to that. Somewhere under there. Well, I guess I might as well do that. We'll just flip that outside and make it easy. We got to look at where the power comes in. So first come off these two screws. One there and one in there. These are basically just like a cover plate. Usually there's an adjustable underneath it that'll allow you to move that one to match how high this thing is off the floor. See, that's got slots, so if this thing were jacked up into the air, and then next thing I'm going to do is check, make sure this thing's actually going to fit, because these feet are sticking down quite a bit compared to that other one. See, this will actually slide down to make up room for the height adjustment, but they have to come off to get in there and hook this thing up. Those sheet metal screws on the top. Now they're all machine screws, which is handy. That way you don't have to keep them track of them. They're all the same. Angle brackets tapped. Put those out of the way. That's also where the instructions and warranty and all that these servicing informations are kept in there. So there's that gigantic water line. I need to get that little 90-degree jobby. The power box. Is, drum roll. That's interesting. The hose is all wrapped up behind it, the discharge hose. It'd generally be an electrical box. Should be right there. Well, let me get this thing flipped around, because that's kind of tricky looking. I'm gonna have to look at the directions. Oh wait, I just noticed. There we go. They usually hang out up front up here. Since I was on the side, I was looking at it, but all the bigger ones are up here. Really, I do is look for black and white wires. There we go. So the power cable, which is too short, maybe. Generally, you put these in, and you'll pull the wires as you're going. You'll pull the wires up into here. So there may be enough room. Looks like I'm going to have to get the little clamp that goes there. Sorry, I got plenty of those. Unless this has a kit. This may have a kit with it, a hardware kit. Probably does inside. If I open this thing up, let's have a look. Alright, an unboxing opening video. Ta-da! Extra insulation for something. Man, nothing like brand new stainless. Look at that. Hey! Yeah, they always go into that. Instructions. Extra discharge hose if you need it. Alright, let me unbox all that and look in there. So what do we get? We have installation instructions, operator's manual, discharge tube with a new clamp, your guide, cascade how to wash the dishwasher, I guess, warranty information, some screws, a couple of brackets that are going to be used to attach that at the top, but no electrical clamp or nuts or any of the electrical stuff. I'm pretty sure that's what it's going to tell me. It's going to say not included, so I'll have to go get a, let's see, supplies, parts you will need. Wire nuts, that 90-degree elbow thing I was talking about, strain relief, that's the clamping thing I'm talking about. Everything else is already hooked up in there, so Alright, so all I need is that clampy deal. Let's slide this sucker in there, make sure it's going to fit. I don't know what the deal would be if it wouldn't, but we'll see. So in actuality, with them all the way down at the bottom, you can see it's definitely the right size. But it's got to come up all the way. That's interesting. All the way down the other one, all the way up on this one. Stinking hose. I had to move that out of the side. Alright, so next thing is I got to get a fitting for that sucker. And I believe it's a 3/8, so I'll just leave this on here until I know what size that is. Get a strain relief. I can bring all that stuff and get it assembled. I can raise this up where it's going to go. And then, you know, theoretically I could hook it up. And just hook this sucker up there in through here. Let's see. I'll see what's what. Let me stick it up in there in place. Get the strain leaf and put in there. See how far that Romex is, if I have to extend it or not. Alright, let's get all that set up first. Alright, got me some new nuts. Settle down. It's not that funny. Strain relief. If you're not familiar with one of these. This is designed to hold a piece of Romex. It's going to go inside here. Like so. Put it down with the screws where you can get at them. And yeah, where you can get them. You're not going to be able to get them anyway. I'm going to go ahead and put them down. I'll be able to reach up with it with a little stubby. Anyway, the deal with that is it's a clamp. The Romex, flat Romex goes in there. The 2 screws will get tightened up and it'll clamp onto that Romex. So then as you move this thing around, all the stress goes against this clamp, which is clamped to here, and you're not pulling on the wires. Not like the other one where they just kind of stuck them together. Anyway, that's going to go up in there. I've screwed these things out quite a bit. I'll set it back in there and see how it goes. And this also has that insulation blanket that goes in there, so it's going to be nice and snug as a bug in a rug. And we'll see where that, put the wires, everything up underneath. We'll put it all where it's going to go and make sure everything's going to reach. But we still have to go get that fitting, so we'll dial it in, and then once we get that fitting, well, like I said, you know what, if it fits in there I can install it, because I can reach this through the front here as long as I have that water line down in here. But I'm not sure if that water line is a 3/8 1/2 inch. I think I'll just dial it in, get it set up in there, and then just leave it all loose. And then once I get that fitting and figure out what I'm doing, then I can just install it. I think I'll do that. Okay, well, that's impressive. That's how high it goes. They really got a lot of adjustment. You just gotta be careful. We want all 4 of them the same height. You can either measure them or you can just kind of eyeball it once you see how many threads or how far that's sticking up. Make them all that way because you want it level. Then another thing you gotta be careful when you put those up that far is when you move this thing around, these will bend pretty easily. So you gotta be careful when you're pushing around. Don't shove it up against something and force it. So now it looks like it's about in the right place height wise. There will be brackets that are going to go up in there. That's what those long brackets are, that are going to hold it. So that's about where it's going to end up going. I checked down here and I'd pulled the wires through. Wires are plenty long enough to hook to the bops. Of course, the hose, we got ample length and 2 different sizes for that. So once we get that fitting, we'll slap this puppy in there and we'll be good to go. Okay, we have a part. I have removed the extension because this was a 1/2 inch with the little adapter for the 3/8 just to extend it out because it's 1/2 inch. Don't need it anymore. Got a 3/8 inch hose over there. Here's what the new fitting looks like. 3/8 by 3/4. Got right through there, didn't I? It's essentially a garden hose size. This is a 3/8 compression, which we don't have to worry about because we have a rubber seal on the end of our water hose. This is going to go on here, and you'll notice that hose is plenty long enough. So we screw this sucker on here, whichever way is convenient. Let's see. I'm going to go ahead and say convenient's going to be in that direction. And the hose will come up here. Okay, we'll do it about right there. I can always move it if I have to. So it's going to be pointing down there. The hose is going to come up in there. I'll move it a little bit. Nothing like having precision tools. Alright, I'm going to have to hold that with both hands. So hold on a second. Okay, that didn't take long. No need for any thread tape. It's got a seal on the inside, same as that hose that goes on here. So what we're going to do when we put this in there, jumping ahead a little bit, we're going to run the wire and the hose both underneath this thing. As we push it in, we'll pull them through. That way the hose we can hook up, the wire is going to go through here, hook up right there. Oh dear. I need a third nut. Well, I think I got them somewhere. So next thing we got to do is hook this discharge hose up. Put that on, we got to put the insulation blanket in there. So let's see how long a hose this has on it. So we need the boot. It goes on the other side. So I guess we're going to have to install it on here anyway, because that's got to go in order to go over the dishwasher fitting. It needs that big boot. I'm going to big boot it in here, so I'm going to figure out how I'm going to do this. Now let me figure out how long this hose is. That hose is going to go in there. Looks like the junction may be inside back in there, and we're just going to have to feed all the extra. I don't see anywhere to, really can't shorten this thing. Alright, let's see what happens. Alright, now we're going to do some fishing. A little overkill, but I run the tape about that far. Electrical tape. I'm going to feed this through. So do this one-handed. I'm going to have to feed it, so stick that in there. Just want to make sure I don't go all the way through. How long is that thing going to go? Alright, so I'm going to one hand in here, and I have to feed it. I don't want to pull on it too much, so yeah, hold on. Okay, it just came right through. So now I got this line over here, which I'm going to attach to the back of this garbage disposal with that clamp. Apparently I took the original clamp, must be on my cart, because I'm going to need that clamp to hook on that other hose to this one, which is odd that they only give you one clamp. You need two of them. Alright, so let me get this one cut loose and hooked up. Yeah, this is one of those points where you go, oopsies! There are two different sizes to these boots, and this big boot This is the one that goes to the dishwasher, so it's back to where we were originally. That's usually why I tape down that. Yeah, okay, I gotta tape that. That'll be fine. I'll just feed it through. Pull that back out this way. Start over again, do that whole procedure. So make sure you get the right end going in first, as you'll end up doing it over again. Just as a side note, sometimes when you find these dishwashers that don't drain, they seem to work, everything runs. You notice that this one, we have a tendency to put the dates when we change things. So if you find a dishwasher that won't drain, make sure that the garbage disposal hasn't just been changed. If it has, if you want to go up here, and I'm going to verify it because just because I have access to it, you want to stick something down in here and make sure it goes all the way to the inside, because when these are new, they come with a little plug inside there, and not everybody knows that. When they put a new garbage disposal on them, that plug has to be knocked out before you install it. You basically knock it out this direction into there while you have it on the bench, and you just turn it upside down. You can pull the little plastic plug out. It's about that big. So always look to see if the disposal's been changed recently and that plug's taken out, because that'll keep the dishwasher from draining. And notice I went ahead and put the small end through the hole and went back the other direction. It's a little easier to get it going through there, and then you clamp this sucker up with your cheap Chinese hose clamp. Hose clamp's coming apart on me. Anyway, alright, before we put this thing, we got to put the mounting brackets on it, which would really be fun. You can read that. I'm going to put them at the top, put them over the top, attach the screws at the back to the hole. The what? What holes? Nice. Those instructions don't match. There's no hole back here to attach this to. It's pretty weird. Usually these things have a couple little brackets at the top. They fit into a little notch in here and just lay there. Option is to attach them to the side over here. There's holes over there, so I guess I'm going to try that. I'll just roughly stick these in there and see if this thing will fit in there, if I can put this in like that. Great. Love when the instructions match. Alright, screwed them in there with two of the screws, and they didn't leave any other screws either, because those came out of the kick plate. So I'm going to have to get some more screws. Let's see how this works. Got everything shoved in the bottom there, but I'm going to have to move it all around because it's all in the way. So I'll see if I can move everything around, get this in there. I also need a 1/2 inch between this and the counter, so I think I may have it up a bit too much. Ooh, what a pain in the butt. The water line comes in from the side. So in order to push this back, it has to go inside the framework and down. You can't just slide this thing in here. Anyway, I got it in here. That looks good. It's my 1/2 inch. Looks like I can break these at this slot right here. And there's even a little hole, it looks like, at one time when it was mounted. Pull this seal back, and I got access to a screw right there. So that's where I'm gonna put the screws. I'm gonna cut them at those slots. I should be able to just grab them with a pair of pliers and just bend it back and forth. And that'll snap off, and that'll go up in behind there. So let's give that a try. Now here's the concept. Those cutouts are the place to bend these. So if you start to bend it, it's going to go at that spot, and you're going to have to kind of hold it. I want to put another pair of pliers on the back side of that. I'm going to put a pair of pliers on there too, and bend them, hold it together and bend it. Alright, so that'll strain it and it'll pop off like that. I use my pair of vice grips. I use my pair of needle nose. I just grab a hold of it back here and twist it with the other one. That way you're not pushing this whole thing over and bending it around. Same with the other side here. Alright, at this point I got my two brackets broke off. I know they're going to fit in there. Unhook this up. Do yourself a favor and wet that down a little bit to lube it. Shove it up in there as far as you can get it in there, about so. Tighten it up. The only flaw in this whole thing is there's no way to leak check that without the system operating. So it's a low pressure seal. You should be fine. Shove it in there. Once it gets in those little ribs, this is rubber, will grab it. So once you tighten down, the rubber's going to seal it up pretty good. The big question now is, what do I do? I guess I'm going to leave that laying out here. It's going to end up in the back. Once I put this insulation blanket on it, it's probably going to hold that up in there anyway. They say maximum distance is 6 feet or something, or 17 feet. What the heck was it? Something ridiculous, so should be good. No problem. It's been there before. Alright, so now I gotta put the blanket on it. This has got to be worked underneath there. This has got to go in through the side as I put it in there. They say it won't go past that without that going inside the bracket and down where it's going to hook up. So, let's get it ready. Okay, here's its blankie. They put its blankie on it and it looks like these get shoved up inside there. That holds it up in there and lay in there. Side plate with a tie wrap on it. How bizarro. Alright. So, got my line up in there. Most of the coil is up under the blankie. And I'm going to go ahead and fight with this water hose, put it in through the side. Make sure the wires are coming up in the middle. Slide her on in there. I'll save you all the cussing. Alright, mine's not completely flush because that hole lined up, so it's off just a tad, but I've got my 1/2 inch. I used a 1 1/4 inch drywall screw. Does a good job acting like a wood screw. Both sides. Just make sure doesn't interfere with anything. As you can see, this has got plenty of room in here. That's just going into a blind cabinet there. So that's technically installed. Now down here, I've got my weird water line set up. Hopefully it's not going to interfere with anything. You can see that's going to go right there. Going to take 2 hands to get that going probably. That's going to screw on there. These wires are going to come up through the little strain relief. Also going to take 2 hands, squeeze them all down, work them through there. I'm going to put connectors on that, kind of bend them around in there, then I'm going to try to tighten this thing up from the bottom with just a little stub of my screwdriver. Not going to go anywhere, so alright, let's get that assembled. Alright, so there's our water connection. That's a 5/8 wrench, by the way. There's our electrical connections. Make sure when you're putting these 2 wires together that you start off with a twist, righty-tighty, so you want to make sure that there's a little bit of a twist. This dishwasher wire twisting over the solid copper line. And when you do these, all 3 of them like that, just give a little tug on the dishwasher wire. Make sure it's actually grabbed in there. It should be twisted right up inside there. See it up in there? That's just a bare wire coming out of the Romex, so Anyway, so about the only checks we can do forward on this thing is to turn the water on, make sure we have no leaks, turn the power on, make sure this thing is connected and that the display up there comes alive or whatever, and then we're going to close this up. I'm going to actually pull that Romex. Okay, well I don't know where that shut off, but I'll continue on. We pull this Romex out a little bit so that the Romex is going through the strain relief, and then we're going to try to reach my screwdriver up in there and tighten that up, and then we'll push these all back in there, push the box on it, put the water on, start doing our checks. And this is how I'm actually doing it, using the screwdriver. I have my 6-in-1 to reach up in there. This is just a poor design. I don't know what I don't remember what the deal is on the regular ones, but they're not like this. They're supposed to be so you can do all this stuff no problem from the outside like this. I think I'm getting there. Well, I'm going to keep working on that until I get both sides of that thing clamped up there tight enough where it holds the Romex. Just takes patience. The amount of cursing you use is at your own discretion. I'll be back. Okay, finally got it up in there. Like I said, it's not a big deal. It's not going anywhere anyway. But at least it's holding it. And we can shove these guys up in here like so. And so I'm going to go ahead and power it up before I put that cover on there, which, oh great, the screw's not there for that. So I'm really going to be missing screws. And I thought I had everything where it came out of, so I'll need 2 for down here. Oh, those up there. Let me fire everything up and see what happens. Oh my goodness. Okay, so power's on. Breaker's still holding on that. Water's on. Well, you can't really tell if that's going to leak or not until we get some water flowing through it. So I'm going to go ahead and put that cover on. And then we're going to do a test and look then. Okay. What's left is to test it. I put the cycle on. So heavy apparently is 161 minutes. Auto sense 122 minutes. Go put it on light for 48 minutes, but we're going to cancel that once we get some water in there. So all that's left, push that in there, reach up there, push the button. Boy, that's weird. It's hard to get at that thing. Now the water's on, power's on. There we go. Sort of. Might take a little bit to get moving here since it's full of air. We'll see how it goes. Alright, at this point I guess you should read the directions for the wet test and things. This one you got to dump water in, lubricate the pump. I want 2 quarts of water in there first, and then we'll fire it back up. And I guess you can push the button and then close this thing, so instead of having to push it while it's in there. Okay. Alright, well, it seems to be filling pretty good. I just saw it dump water into the disposal for some reason. So we'll put the cap back on that. Put the toe kick in here. And hopefully we'll be done. Just go ahead and let it run a little bit and I'll check it for leaks and everything. Okay, successful test. Open it up, just got... Okay, so to close this thing up, insulation panel goes up in there. 2 toe kicks. One's got a slidey one, it's got big slots on it. That's going to sit right on the ground here. The other one, like that is going to go up in there, all the way up. 2 screws will go in the, it's going to be that top hole there on both sides, and it's going to hold both of those in place, which of course I can't do one-handed, so there we go. And for jolly, since I had screws, I got some other screws. I'll put another one in there. So kick in, units in. Nice and wet. I'm gonna leave it popped like that so it'll dry out a little bit. And I would say that's a done deal. Gonna leave the operating instructions in a drawer somewhere for people, and it should all be good.